What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Almost Functional. I'm back here with Nick Herding again, Tricky Nicky. We're going to be going over building some chaos lists, like we told you we were going to in the video about the chaos detachments. You want to tell them what detachments and stuff you're building lists for today, Nick?
Hey, what's happening, guys? This is our CSM list building strategy session. So we're going to cover three detachments, the ones I think are going to see the most play, generally considered probably the strongest picks. It's going to be the Renegade Raiders, otherwise known as the Red Corsairs. That's going to be the first one we'll talk about. Other two are going to be the Soulforged Warpack. That's your demon engine specific detachment, and then the last one's going to be the Pactbound Zealots. They are word bearers, and they were also they used to be called slaves of darkness. That is the index detachment as well. The chaos marks.
All right. So I believe the first thing we're going to get into is the Renegade Raiders. But if you guys don't mind, go ahead and like, subscribe, follow the channel. It'll really help us out just to get this content to you and to more people. But all right, so here's the Renegade Raiders detachment.
Heck yeah! So I brought up the rules here. This codex is live. So this is June 16th. We're about 5 days before the MFM data slate, and then next Saturday, so in about a week, is when the new mission pack is dropping, Pariah Nexus is dropping. So this has already been released. We have the full codex and everything. And here are some of the rules. So specific to Renegade Raiders, this is going to be, you're going to really like this attachment rule a lot. This is the best one in the book as far as what it gives you. It's every ranged weapon in the army is assault, same as what you'd see like in Firestorm. The whole army gains assault, and additionally, this is where it gets really good. Each time a Heretic Astartes model makes any attack targeting a unit that's on an objective, you're going to add +1 to the AP of that attack. This is worded in a fantastic way. It's all melee and all range attacks, and the only thing it's checking is if they're just within range of the objective marker. There are ways to play around this, but this is adding extra AP essentially for free. It really boosts the already strong AP that Chaos has, given that they're Marines. For example, Legionnaires, a squad of Legionnaires has AP2 built in with the heavy weapons. Additionally, Warp Talons are already AP2, and then a lot of the shooting that exists ranges between AP1, AP2, or AP3. There are also some combos here where you can have, like, for example, Abaddon can actually reach AP5, which is pretty insane for close combat. You can also have, I'm trying to think, there's a stacking benefit with the Predator Destructor, which is a very good data sheet to take as well, where you start at AP1 for your Predator, that Predator autocannon. If you target infantry, it gets a boosted AP, so AP2, and then Renegade Raiders, if you trigger the third thing, it could actually be AP3 on the autocannon. So very scary against maybe like Space Marines Gravis, things that have 3 wounds. Orc Meganobs, especially when the Wa is down, are going to hate that.
Some of the
There's
custodes.
Yeah, custodes absolutely hate that. Once you hit AP3, so they can actually even that means your Terminator equivalent. It makes the Predator Destructor becomes very efficient at killing a TEQ, otherwise known as a Terminator equivalent. So talking about your T5 model, infantry model, typically 3 wounds, probably has a 4-up invuln save, and a 2-up armor save. So three, they're generally going to have cover. So hitting AP3 on a damage 3 weapon pushes it into the level where it's reliably going to kill custodians, 40, 50 point models. So let me turn off my Roomba. Sorry.
Nick's being attacked by the Soulforged Warpack already.
Yeah, the robots are getting me. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about that Predator Destructor a little bit. All right, so we talked about this. We already kind of went over some of these Renegade Raiders things.
Yeah,
Something that's
we
really
did. We did a whole video on all these detachments. So if you want the detachments broken down even more, down to each rule, each enhancement, each stratagem, go and watch that video. Today we're just kind of breeze over those and do a little more on the list building for the detachments.
Exactly. So I'm going to jump right into battle scribe here, and then we're going to start. We'll just start going right into it. All right. So looking, I'm going to start with some of the stuff, maybe like a core like design for this list, and then we'll explain like the tactics and what's happening. So I'm going to start off unit of cultists. That's because you want to be able to protect your backfields to get the objective. So we'll just throw a unit in there.
Yeah, cultists are good for that stuff. Yes, you always need a couple small units just to do little things that aren't really going to be damage.
Yeah, and I'm going to build this. I think I'm going to build this. This has a lot of variety because so this detachment, Renegade Raiders, has it has the benefit of being very applicable to every data sheet because as long as you have units, the units have AP and then they're making attacks and you're attacking the objective. You're benefiting from this detachment, especially things that shoot and fight, or things that have guns in general, are really going to benefit this from this as well. Um, the stuff that I really like assault on is not so much infantry, because you don't have. Keep in mind, you don't. This doesn't give you advance in charge. It gives you advance in shoot. So, and generally, your infantry always want to be charging. Your chosen legionnaires, whatever warp talons, they're always going to be trying to charging every turn. So the advance and shoot is not as important for infantry, but for vehicles it matters a lot more because your tanks and your venom crawlers may not be charging anyway, depending on how you're playing it. All right, so getting into some of the characters here. Um, my theme behind this, I'll explain my up to my current list here and go into it. Um, I'm not looking for anything expensive. My thought process is I'm not looking for Abaddon, although he is good at three. He's 295, 300 points essentially. I'm not looking for him. I'm not looking for an expensive Demon Prince or even a what's that other guy? The Lord Discordant is another, like, it's about 200 points as well. Um, and I'm definitely not looking. I'm not looking for stuff like Terminators. I'm not looking for Lord of Skulls. So I'm trying to keep it a little bit. We want to keep the points down. The reason for that is we're gonna have a lot of shooting and fighting together to push a very aggressive plan to attack the objectives, dominate the primary, and flood the board with lots of attacking models, rolling a lot of dice. Um, a good it's a kind of a tenet of like making a pressure list I would say it's more of an aggressive list is the way to think about it. One of the tenets is you want to be able to generate a lot of attacks and roll a lot of dice. So this can be shooting and fighting. Ideally, when you're playing Space Marines or Chaos Marines, you want to do damage in both phases as well. So you'll see that I'm going to incorporate like strong combat units and then some generally equally as strong shooting units. You want to have respectable shooting. Because what that does is it keeps your opponent honest. It means they can't just stand out in the open and say charge me. We really want to be able to punish armies that are visible as well. So all right,
Yep.
so
And
jumping in.
I'm saying every attack you get takes advantage of the rules here. So every extra attack you can add, you're just doubling down on taking advantage of the detachment rule.
Correct, and it's especially I actually the unit that I would use to what's the word for it? The unit I would use to demonstrate that effect. It's like a cumulative effect. Would be Legionnaires because a squad of Legionnaires only 80 points. Essentially, you've got two chainswords, two power fists, and a las cannon is the way that I like to run it. So you have a lot of war gear that you essentially got for free, and then when you get into combat, you innately reroll wounds. You have high OC, and then you have assault. So you have a lot of high AP. It's fantastic. It's really Legionnaires 80-point squad. You've got AP3 las cannon, and then you've got AP2 base power fist that can become AP3. So it's having AP3 strength 8 AP3 damage 2 with lethal or sustain, and rerolling wounds. That's built in on your 80-point core battle line unit. So it's like the most like simple basic sort of unit in the whole army is extremely good. um, so that is definitely something to look at. And you know what, I'll go ahead and just add two of these squads right now because I think that's where I ended up is with two of them.
And they stuck at 5 mans, or you like them at 5 mans?
So you can run them as a 5 or a 10. However, this is a little bit crunchy, but you lose some efficiency with the 10, um, partially because you can't have 4 heavy melee. I think you get stuck at 3, and then
Mm.
you can't take 2 las cannons. You'd have to take a Reaper chain cannon at that point, which is fine. But I don't like the Reaper chain cannon as much as the las cannon.
Although it is a lot of shots getting extra AP.
It is very good, and there is I would not knock anyone. I personally am taking the las cannons in here to have a little bit like a higher ceiling, like for explosive damage. Um, but the chain cannon is excellent against killing infantry, which there's a ton of right now, and especially if we're heading into like maybe a lot of horde armies are starting to come out. There's going to be a lot of infantry on the table, and the chain cannon excels against that. Um,
Yeah, because we may or may not see a lot more battle line depending on what special rules people are running at tournaments.
exactly. Here, I'm just going to add the chain swords here, and I think we have a. Yeah, I like to do one las cannon. So the 10-man is good as well. When you get to the 10-man legionnaires, it's 160, and what that does is it'll add another heavy weapon. You're gonna get probably 4. You'll get 3 more guys with chain swords, and then you can have the las cannon plus the Reaper auto cannon in there. So it becomes a very versatile squad. To Oh, he's got a plasma pistol. Yeah, the champion has essentially a power fist and a plasma pistol. They call it heavy melee weapon now, but for all intents and purposes, it is a power fist. All right, there it is. So this is the squad. So this is so good that in certain versions of this list, this squad or this legionary unit is so good. I've considered taking like 6 units, which is the max, and just sticking them all in rhinos. So these guys, we're gonna have these legionnaires, and then they're gonna be riding in the rhino. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add the rhinos right now. Renegade Raiders is a transport-based attachment after all, and the rhino, I think at least one rhino could probably find its way into every CSM list, so it's very applicable to have transports. I'll go ahead and add 2. I think 2 is the right number. I ran this with 3 and it was a little bit too much. But the Rhino is extremely good in this attachment, and if you wanted to run 3, more power to you. All right. So as you can see, like a lot of these selections that we have, like we're looking at the points here, very cheap on points. I want to look at the vehicle package, and for the vehicle package, I want to emphasize shooting. Because just like we were talking about before, the destructor is really good. I'm gonna just go ahead and add the destructor straight away because I think that this guy as well as the venom crawler can find a spot in every single CSM list. All right, and then you get your havoc launcher, you get your las cannon sponsons, and then you got your combi weapon. So it's just got guns, and then it's got the predator autocannon here. You can see it's range 48, excellent. 4 shots hitting on 3s. The profile is 913 with rapid fire 2. Rapid fire 2 means this vehicle will generally operate at 24, because at 24 you're going to have 6 shots with the autocan, which is really good. I do not recommend to run the Annihilator, which is the other version. The reason being, the sponsons are going to be the same on either version. So either version you'll take the las cannon sponsons, but this Annihilator gun, all it is one. It's a one-shot twin link las cannon, and six shots is better than 1. So
Yep,
just don't run this. It's bad. Run the one that shoots 6 times, not once. um,
that sounds reasonable.
so
Especially at exact same points. Yeah.
yeah, they're the exact same points, and then you still get the las on the destructor. You still get the las sponsons. Additionally, this has the really nice benefit of any range attack made by the destructor targeting infantry gains an additional AP, and that applies to all the weapons on the vehicle. Which means you could actually have potentially in Renegade Raiders you could have your las cannon sponsons hitting AP 5, which seems a little silly. Like especially if yeah, I guess that's only against infantry, so you're not like going to be cracking a Redemptor Dread, but but it's hitting AP 5 is hitting the level of like a little bit of craziness. So yeah, destructor super good. I'm just gonna add 2 of them right away because you'll see a theme with this list is it's a very aggressive, and we're gonna attack both sides of the board. Ideally, simultaneously, we'll attack both sides of the board, and the units that you have attacking are gonna look very symmetrical. You'll have like a symmetrical attack plan where you have your pack, your army splits in half, and then you just sweep the table. So pressure, very very pressure oriented. Um, so something else I'm going to add in here because it's extremely good in this detachment is Chaos Bikers. Um, Chaos Bikers are 70 points for 3 models, and they shoot, they fight, they have power fists, they have melta-guns, which is really good, and then they have all these tricks in this detachment. So do 2 squads of Chaos Bikers here, and then getting into a lot of the nitty gritty. We need more damage. I played a version of this that had a lot of junk, Raptors, Noise Marines, uh, Havocs, stuff like that. Um, and those units were good, but their damage was honestly pretty low. And because we're gonna plan kind of this is kind of an all out attack. Um, we want to have stuff that has extremely high damage. So it's things that are high strength, high AP natively, maybe things that have twin linked, stuff like that. So looking into some of the stuff we're gonna have in here for damage, Chosen. So I'm looking at Chosen, Warp Talons, and Vindicator tanks. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 squads of Chosen, which are extremely good because they have all of their attacks are AP2 base, potentially going to AP3 in this detachment, and then they supercharge this Chaos Lord. I'll add a Chaos Lord as well. I think we actually have 2 of those, so let's do double Chaos Lord, double Chosen. The loadout is going to be the same for both. So you got the Chosen have Icon, they have a Power Fist, and they have a twin linked Cursed Weapon. So I'm not going to actually click through that because it's tough to see, but so chosen, and then the Chaos Lord has the Demon Hammer. The Chaos Lord absolutely powers up in this attachment too. His Demon Hammer it's 8/2/2 with devastating wounds. The chance for glory is going to give him +1 everything, including AP. So once per game, he can go AP3, and then if he's swinging on the unit that's on the objective, AP4 hammer. So super super good, and that's just a regular 90-point Chaos Lord. So I'm of the opinion that you could take, for example, you could take 3 Chaos Lords for 270, or you could take Abaddon for 295. I think the individual Chaos Lords are better, so I'm more kind of in that camp.
Yeah, not all your eggs in one basket.
Correct, yeah, and it's similar to how I play like in Black Templars, where you just take captains with a power fist, and they're actually cheaper. They're only 80 points. So
Yeah.
same sort of concept that you'd see in Black Templars.
Yeah, and it's just going back to again, there's the more bodies, the more attacks, the more you're building into the strengths of this detachment.
Exactly. So we are going to fill this out now. You can see this list looks fairly elite right now. These are 5-man squads. These are 5-man squads. This is a 10-man cultist. So right now it looks fairly elite. We are going to add some more bodies in here now. So this is right now the list is at 1200. This is looking pretty good right now. We got our rhinos are full. We've got a legionnaire and a chosen with the Chaos Lord goes with the chosen. We're going to add basically more damage and more bodies. So a way to build this potentially would be to just add a lot of legionnaires. I wanted something that's maybe a little bit more durable and faster for more aggressive pressure. So the classic solution for this is Warp Talons. They're twin linked, Lightning Claws, Strength 5, Jump Infantry, and they have they have jank they can do where they can leave the table after they charge and fight. So really really strong, good with rapid ingress, and not. So I'm going to go ahead and add a 10-man Warp Talon, and they're good enough where I could probably just duplicate it. Had 2x10. This is a lot of points. This is actually 440. These are not really cheap models. I mean, they're 22 points per model, but you can set up an attack where you double charge with these things, or you give them advance and charge. They can become AP3. They can maybe get sustained on the Dark Pact, and then wipe a unit, kill a scout unit, infiltrator unit, whatever. These guys are making 10 man makes 40 attacks, and then they can just instantly leave the table after the fight happens. Um,
Yeah,
so
anytime
there,
you can disappear, that's amazing. And do you have to kill the unit if you're in combat? Can you still disappear, or do you have to kill the unit to disappear?
so generally, if you're in combat, you can't disappear. But this detachment has a special. There's a 1 CP strat in this detachment that says at the end of the fight phase, you can have a unit that's in combat can fall back for 1 CP. So and then after that, you can just have their ability trigger and they can leave the table.
Actually, they can charge, use the strat to fall back, and then pop their ability.
Yeah, yeah. So they chart. So yeah. That essentially yes. So if they for example if they charge and don't kill their target, you could spend after they fail to kill their target, you could spend the CP, fall back, and then use their ability. So that's kind of the combo.
Yeah, so
Um,
yeah, and that stratagem is called Opportunistic Raiders. It's a strategic ploy, and it's 1 CP.
exactly, and in my opinion, that is the best single stratagem that was printed in this whole book. Opportunistic Raiders is what it's called. Has probably endless applications, and it's extremely good. And it'll in the current in Pariah Nexus as well. It's going to be just as good as it is now, if not better.
Nice.
So yeah, look, we do have a balanced data slate coming up. I don't know if this will be changed. I assume that warp talons have been good since the start of ninth edition, maybe even before that. So I don't anticipate warp talons will ever be bad. It's just right now they're really kind of turned up to 11. Um, all right, so now we've got, if we look at this overall, we've got our bodies now. We've got our speed. We've got some shooting and the destructors. Um, this is where it kind of gets, we're a little bit in the filler territory now. And we've got about 370 left to work with. Um,
And at this point, what are you looking for? Secondaries, damage, board control. This last 370, like, what do you think you're missing in the list so far?
okay, so people, this is where it comes at this point. This is like kind of like your standard list. I would say this is where it comes in the stylistic choices. So a lot of players may look at, so some of the things that you might look at now that are common to look at would be like Nurglings. Like you want to have stuff in Deep Strike that can come in that
Oh,
can that can just score points.
true.
Um, that's in my mind. I like Nurglings. Maybe getting a unit of Nurgling in here is better than what I would do. I'm thinking like all out aggression, right? So I want to find like the biggest like damage thing in here is that I can find and just add that. So I want damage and value. Um, Something that has shooting would be good too because army wide assault. I want to really take advantage of army wide assault to get like a turn one. My thought process is like turn one alpha strike. So if I go first and they have stuff on the line, it's just gonna get blown up, and I'm gonna go way ahead on points, and then I'll win the trade. I'll win the trade game because I started off so strong. That's my thought process. Kind of like world leaders do that, Eldar does that, and so on. So I think the way that this ends up is the data sheet that I had that I was going to add is a Vindicator because the Vindicator shoots good, has a turn one, especially it moves 9 inches plus an advance and then shoots 24. So there is a legitimate turn one threat from it. It's very tanky, and it combines well with the other. We've already got 4 tank chassis in here, and I'm thinking like why not just bring it up to 6 chassis? So I'm going to actually add 2 Vindicators.
Oh,
Um, so Vindicator, it used to be it was 190 for a long time. They recently brought it down to 175, which is extremely low pointed. Considering this thing, if you look at the weapon on this, it's a regular Imperial Guard Demolisher cannon. It's just copy paste Imperial Guard Demolisher cannon, and hilariously, like this damage profile is the same as a Hunter killer missile. So
yep.
every time this thing fires, it's shooting D6 plus 3 blast Hunter Seeker missiles. I mean, considering Chaos don't have multi meltas or anything, there's not a better like tank killing profile than this in the whole book, probably. This is much better than Havoc's. It's better than, I don't know. It's better than any other anti tank that you can take. It's
Yep.
better than this is better
And,
than a Forge Fiend as well.
and if their tank touches an objective,
Correct. And then then the Demolisher is AP4, which is enough to just delete a Space Marine vehicle. So
oh
that
yeah,
this Vindicator can legitimately blow up like a Repulsor Executioner, or it can really put damage on a Land Raider. It's very very applicably good just because it does so much damage.
And they're hard to tie up because of their seed shield, they can shoot that into combat.
Correct. Yeah. So this is what I recommend. I know that these are old models. They're hard to find. They're probably sold out everywhere because they're very hot right now. Um, I luckily was able to get two of them, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit buy, and we're gonna load up two of those. And
And
then
they also have Horus Heresy version ones that you can get paint up and they look real nice in a 40k army too.
exactly, yeah, and I highly recommend that. If you're having trouble finding these kits, or you're not willing to pay $80 for a crusty old model, I recommend the Deimos Predator, which is 100% legal to be used. It's WYSIWYG to be used as this model, so it's called, yeah, the 30k Deimos Predator, and then same thing, 30k Vindicator has a new kit, and then even the 30k Rhino is easy to chaos it up and throw it in here.
Yeah, since
Uh,
they started releasing their Forge World vehicles easier with all the Horus Heresy stuff, some of them look really nice. They had some of the old Land Raiders. I thought about buying a bunch of that and just proxying over just because, one, not
yeah,
everybody's doing it, so it would make your army stand out a little bit.
yeah, my Land Raider for my Templars is actually a Proteus. It's
Yeah.
slightly converted, but yeah, I really am a fan of those 30k vehicle kits. They're
Oh,
all
yeah.
very well done. Okay, so we're at 1980. So there's nothing we can get for 20 points. I'm happy with all these data sheets as is. We've got all of our, we've got a little bit of a Noah's Ark going on. Everything's two by two.
Are there any
Um,
enhancements worth taking for 20 points on the characters?
So we've got three options. So looking right here, we got Tyrant's Lash, which is reroll advances and fall back and shoot. Um, the unit already has fall back and shoot because it's a chosen unit, so we're not going to take this. We are going to take the damage one though. We have a CP Gen one here, but this generally isn't going to trigger because he's going to be inside of a transport. So yeah, he doesn't. The way this works is like he doesn't count as being on the battlefield, so we're not going to take the CP gen either. We're going to take the damage one, which is the damage one is actually extremely good. It's very, very usable. It's just whenever you make a melee attack, if the Chaos Lord is wholly within 12 of the opponent's deployment zone, you just reroll all hits and wounds. Super, super good.
It's a shame you don't have 5 more points. That Mark of the Hound would be good because that would work pretty nice.
This is good. Yeah, this is giving the entire unit gets Scout 6.
Yeah.
Um, this I'm trying to think the good application for this. If you took an Abaddon, the way that I would run this is very good, but it could also set up a situation where it's like, oh, you're going to move up a big expensive legionnaire or a chosen unit and you another 6 inches, and you may not necessarily want that unit that far up the table because there's a chance that it could just get killed quicker because it was too close.
Well, you don't
um
have to scout forward.
correct, but um i- this is super good, but I like to use this more. I think this is better for like Abaddon's unit. If
Yeah.
you can
I mean, we don't have the points for it, but stuff like that sometimes I like to do. You set them right out in front of a building. People think they have a shot. You get first. They
Yeah,
get first turn. You left spot in the building behind them, and you actually walk back, and they have no shot.
yeah, it totally works to your advantage. And yeah, if I had another 5 points, I would get that instead because it's
Yeah.
really, and I might change the list a little bit. But yeah, so here's the final list. So we're at 1995. So we got two Chaos Lords, two by five Legionnaires, 10 Cultists, 2 by 5 Chosen, 2 by 10 Warp Talons, and then two by three Bikers, uh, two Predator Destructors, two Chaos Vindicators, and two Chaos Rhinos. So very, very very symmetrical list. I have This is my probably second or third version of this. The
Yeah.
first version had less shooting, and I decided that I would like to have more shooting to keep people honest, especially where we're an orc heavy meta,
Oh
and
yeah.
orcs hate guns especially. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about for a meta consideration.
Yeah. And this still
Re-
gives you 15 units, and none of them is so overpointed or needed that you couldn't use it for a secondary for a turn.
exactly. So you have your especially good your dedicated scenario units here would be like your Chaos Rhino,
Yeah.
um, which so the Chaos Rhino for 75 points, it actually gets really good at shooting in this detachment because all of its AP 0 becomes AP 1
Yeah.
potentially. So it gets suddenly good at everything. It also gets assault too, which is just, yeah, I love assault. What a great rule.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think this is the final list. Did you have anything you wanted to touch on, I guess, strategy wise, or I think we kind of finish this
Yeah,
one.
so that was my thing. Is yeah, it's like because you got bikes, you got rhinos, you got cultists, you got legionnaires, you got lots of stuff that, at first glance, people might see as, oh, that's trash to play secondaries. But with the extra AP and stuff, actually, you can't sleep on any of it. So everything in this list can do damage. And
Correct.
really, if you needed to, you have the warp talents do a thing. I mean, you really want them popping off the table, but none of it is so needed that I think you couldn't spend a turn sitting on an objective or doing a stratagem if it's the only unit you had to fulfill that secondary.
Exactly. Yeah. And another critical thing here is it's because it's so symmetrical and it's so kind of
Yeah,
like it's there's nothing. Remember going back to the beginning, I said no. No Abaddon, no Lord of
yeah,
Skulls. There's no linchpin unit here. So
right.
as you suffer losses, you're loss agnostic because you continue to attack, you continue with your same
Yeah,
aggressive plan, and you just have you have high AP values across the whole army.
yeah. As
So
long as you're scoring points as you're losing them, you don't feel bad.
yeah, the thing I guess the thing you want to avoid if you play a Renegade Raider list like this, the thing you want to avoid is starting an engagement where you are losing the trade. So you don't want to you don't you know for example you don't want to have your Vindicators get blasted by Bright Lances turn one or something like
Yeah.
that. You want to this army has 6 hulls, so you have the don't be afraid to deploy back. You don't have to deploy on the line. Um,
Well,
and
that's what
then
I
you
was going to ask you. This list has so much shooting. Unlike a lot of chaos, you might almost hold back for a counterpunch, like turn 2 or 3, instead of trying to get in turn 1.
correct. Yeah, and there's two sort of modes that you have to think about playing this. I don't think that this is easy to play by any means. This is not like an auto win. It's not free points. It's not easily able to do secondaries. You're gonna have to work and think like for your game plan on this one.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because other than the couple vehicles that shoot really good, nothing is super overpowered. So you're going to have to get multiple things on the same targets, especially if
correct.
it's big stuff like knights or custodes or terminators, to remove those threats. You can't just go unit for unit with most stuff.
Right, and I specifically ran into trouble running this detachment. I specifically ran into trouble trying to kill a Nightbringer like a Catan.
Hmm.
I did have serious problems versus a Catan, as well as something like maybe like a Silent King. Some of the very large durable things, even like something like an Avatar, could potentially be tough to remove.
Right,
Um,
because you're going to need a bunch of your units to take it out. And if you fail, it could take out a couple things in return because nothing you have is that hard to kill.
Right. So yeah, this is the style list where you have to do a lot of calculation, like about how your damage is being allocated when you go into your your sequence of attacks. So you're shooting, your combat, and so on. You have to be very knowledgeable about how much damage actually comes out of the unit. Um,
Because you have enough attacks, you should be able to put enough attacks on something where dice don't matter because if one unit's hot, the other might be cold, so it bounces out. It's not like an elite army where if one unit gets cold for a turn, you're screwed. This hopefully has enough assets that the dice balance out pretty much turn by turn because you're putting so many shots into stuff.
Right, and the ideal situation here would be, if they try to set up for a turn where they're going to charge you, they're generally you have access to advance and charge, and you have advance and shoot army wide, so you could really counterpunch extremely hard. So you could even set up a situation where if you're going first, you position. And so let's say you have no shots, you position everything, and then if they take position, you can counterpunch your entire army and just
Yeah.
completely destroy them. Um,
And the
so
nice thing with assault on all your weapons, you should still be hopefully find an angle to get some shots without having to extend yourself too bad.
exactly, yeah. I believe the predators move 10, and then the vindicators 9. So adding in assault, you're virtually will always get an angle to shoot. It's
Yeah.
almost unavoidable. The only thing you have to worry about here is just parking lotting yourself with the six
Yeah.
rhino halls.
Yeah. I would advise, I mean, I always advise with everything, but practice deploying it, practice your first turn or two of movement so you're not blocking yourself in.
Yeah, the way that is a big problem with this list because six hulls is quite a bit. Luckily these are the smaller hull, like smaller than an impulsor or anything else is a rhino chassis. It's easy to stack them up and it blocks line of sight to
Yep.
infantry generally. Something I recommend as far as deployment, you likely want to have the destructors on the flanks, so like on a wide deployment to shoot the edge with the 48-inch range, and then you'll generally have the vindicators are more of a counter puncher. So like if they have a very heavy target, you'll line up your Vindicator like where it'll come up and then immediately get the 24 onto their big target, onto their like
Yeah.
tough thing. So the Vindicator goes straight into the battle, like it's almost like a front line. It's like a front line sort of tank. So your Vindicator is really kind of like a linebacker, and then
And
you have your
they have a 2-up save. They're not that hard to kill. I mean, they're not that easy to kill.
correct, yeah, they're pretty tanky. Yeah, so your Vindicator is really kind of like your centerpiece model. Losing the Vindicators, I think, does hurt, but it's also not the end of the world because you have a lot of more stuff
Yeah.
here. Um, I think that pretty much covers everything. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, so next up, we're doing the Soulforged.
Yes.
All right, so
So
next up, we're going to be going into the Soulforged Warpack, which is all your demon engine and stuff. It's basically Dark Mechanicum.
correct. So it's Demon Engine specific.
Yeah. And
So this is going
yeah,
to restrict our list building a little bit
yeah.
because unfortunately they've taken away Forge World at this point, and we only have, if we look at the little list here, only about, let's see, one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. There are only 6 demon engines.
So this will end up being a little more of an elite list, but
Yeah.
debt to the Soulforge is this detachment rule. Each time a Heracus starts demon vehicle from your army makes a dark pact, it can invoke its contract. If it does, subtract 1 from resulting leadership test when making the dark pact. And until the end of the phase, each time the model in that unit makes a range attack, add 1 to the wound roll,
Mhm.
or add 2 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons equipped by models. So either get +2 attack for all their melee weapons, or they get +1 to wound on all their shooting. And this is coming from vehicles, so most of their stuff's already wounding on 4s and 3s against most stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so it really emphasizes just turning the damage up. This is very damage oriented, similar to Renegade Raiders, but this is also Demon Engine specific.
Yeah,
So I
so
believe,
this will have less, won't have quite as many units. It'll be a little more around big tanky stuff, I would suspect.
yeah, and these are the strats. So if we look at this real quick, there is a you could 1 CP you could turn a vehicle demonic, which is good. I don't know how many times you actually want to do this, but it's fine. Um, Unfortunately, all of the strats here really just key off of vehicles or demon vehicles. So there is no detachment benefit for anything that is not a vehicle slash demon vehicle. Um, it creates a little bit of a conundrum because I I don't think you could make a good chaos list without infantry. Chaos Space Marines is essentially, it's still CSM, it's still Space Marines. It is essentially an infantry army. So it's similar to Ironstorm. Like in Ironstorm, you still have your scouts, you still have your tech marines, and so on. Same premise here. This is like the chaos version of Ironstorm. Um, do I think that this is better than Ironstorm? No, but it's different enough to be. It's different enough and still very strong. So looking at the list here, I want to go over the data sheets real quick because they are so limited. There's actually, I think we said there were 7. The Lord of Skulls is a demon engine, and I am 100% going to click Lord of Skulls. Like I'm just going to add one right now.
So I'm already, this is already sounding like a fun list.
Yeah, the Lord of Skulls is only 450, and think about, he's basically a knight, but he's better in every way because all of his stats are like just better than a knight, which is really funny.
But he
Um,
doesn't worship the Emperor.
no, he's corn. He worships corn.
Oh,
He has a big old axe. So 24 wounds, T13, which is just really crazy. I don't know why it's that value is so high. I think it's a monolith level of toughness.
yeah.
So yeah, and then this guy just hits like a truck. I mean, he's 5 attacks or 7 in this detachment. It's 7 at strength 16, AP -4, flat 8 damage. So yeah, flat 8 damage is pretty interesting.
Well, then his shooting is
Oh, he's got the here.
strength 10 and strength 8, both at +1 to wound.
Let
Oh,
me
he
adjust
changed his
this.
gun.
I think it should be these two because
Gotcha.
they're basically, everyone always takes the same 2 guns. Is
So
it?
strength 7 and strength 14, both with +1 to wound.
Oh wait, hang on, that wasn't the right one. This is it. This is it.
Oh, so both are strength 14 and both are +1 to wound.
Yeah, exactly. So
So,
these are winning on 2s against anything
so
in the
unless it's
game,
toughness 14
which
or
doesn't make
higher,
sense. Yeah. So this
you're
is wounding
wounding.
everything. It's everything on 2s. Yeah.
Well, all right then.
It's super high AP. A Demon Gore Cannon is a little bit scuffed on range, but then you got really good profiles here. You got basically what we're looking at here essentially, like this guy moves up the table and just shoots. So we got basically 3d6 shots hitting on threes, strength 14, AP -3 or 4, and then minimum 3 damage across the board. So this is an average of like, it's not crazy. It's an average of like 11 shots. Probably get sustained going. So maybe 9 or 10 hits, something like that.
I think it's
Who
17 attacks with his cleaver if he sweeps.
Yeah, and the sweep is pretty good too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
2 damage.
it's a power fist. Yeah, the sweep is
Yeah,
essentially just a power fist.
a lot of sweeps are 1 damage. When they stay 2 damage, you have the potential to pick up 17 Marines in one go.
This is good. So there's a lot of force multipliers we're adding on this guy. The support. So this guy obviously needs a support retinue. There is a version of this list where you can run multiple Lord of Skulls. I don't know. I'm just not going to recommend that. I mean, you can do it. It just becomes like kind of a big meme. And like you might just do better if you were playing like Chaos Knights or Imperial Knights at that point. So
Yeah.
I won't really get into the multiple Lord of Skulls build, but
Yeah, I don't think that's going to win a tournament. It'll catch a couple people off guard. It just doesn't have the tools to consistently score secondaries to win an event, I don't believe.
correct. Yeah, it's a lot of points. There interestingly though, like I think if you did the triple Lord of Skulls, it's only 13 1350, so you actually have a lot of points left to work with the triple skull. So that's probably something we'll see sooner or later. I just don't want to, that's not the list that I'm going to run, so I'm just going to start filling this out. We're going to need 2 warp smiths. A
Two of
warpsmith
them.
is essentially just a tech marine. The reason we need 2 warpsmith is that there's 2 enhancements that we absolutely have to take here.
All right.
One is the best enhancement in the book, which is called the Tempting Addendum. I'll talk about that. And then the other one is the Forge's Blessing. So the Tempting Addendum is extremely good. It basically says within 3 inches of this warpsmith, um, when any demon engine invokes the contract, which you're always doing when you pact, you reroll all your hit rolls.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
that's helpful.
so it's only a 3 inch aura, but as long as this guy's alive, I mean, he's giving out an aura of just reroll all hit rolls. So
And it's
and
all
then
hit rolls, not range, not melee, all.
correct, and then this also, the trigger on this is it's an aura, and then the trigger is when that model has done a pact. Well, the pact can happen whenever you make an attack. It's part of the attack sequence.
Yep.
It's like when they're selected to shoot or selected to fight. So that means this tempting addendum works all the time. So it
Hmm.
doesn't matter if you're shooting, it doesn't matter if you're fighting, it doesn't matter if you're overwatching. As long as you can pact, you can benefit from this. And this is exactly, I think we were already talking about this in the previous video.
Yep.
If you have access to reroll hits in CSM, that's when you hit your damage ceiling. So whenever you see reroll hits in this book, you basically want to click buy. So that's really important. The other one is a little buff you can give that gives a demon vehicle a 6-up feel no pain. That's going to go on the Lord of Skulls. So as long as this guy's hanging out, you can like do some little repairs, give him +1 to hit. So now his guns will hit on 2s just like a tech marine. And that's it. So we've got our 6-up feel no pain and our reroll hits. Um, so at this point, we're going to look at some of the like core stuff that we need. So we're going to want a cultist mob because we need a sticky objectives. We might even want a second cultist mob. I think I'm going to go and just double it because these cultists are at 50 points. They're really just good value buy, and they're going to do your actions. They're going to sticky your objectives. They're super good. So we'll say 2 cultist mob. All right. So looking at some of the other stuff here, we can get shooting that's not a demon engine, but demon engines will benefit from extra attacks. They'll get more access to the stratagems, and they're gonna get access to like to reroll hits. There's also the strat where we can make a vehicle into a demon. I think the best model to make a demon is going to be the Vindicator. So I'm just going to add 1 Vindicator in right away. There you go.
Yeah. And for all the same reasons, we added it to the last list.
Correct. And the plan for this is going to be your turn 1. You just make it a demon, and then it's just going to start blasting. So some of the other demon engines here, they're really limited on the options. I think Helldrake is just terrible. I'm not even going to pull him up. He's an aircraft. Unfortunately, he's just not good for the points. Aircraft are kind of maligned, but another one that's not great in my opinion is the Defiler. His he's a guy that like shoots and fights, but he's a little mediocre. And the real reason he's not going to see play is he only moves 8, and the base of the Defiler is so large that it's almost impossible to like maneuver around the table. Um, because the
Especially if you're doing a lot of the GW layout type deployments.
Exactly, and the model's really awkward. It's about 8 inches wide, and then it only has 8 inch movement. So by the time you finish moving it, it doesn't seem like it's moved at all, and
Yep.
it creates a very severe parking lot situation. And then at the end of the day, this guy's only T10. He doesn't have any like real special rules that help you, and he doesn't shoot or fight better than anything else that I'm aware of. I mean, his fighting is good. It's kind of like Forge Fiend levels or Mauler Fiend level stuff, but this guy is actually 60 points more than a Mauler Fiend, which is starting to seem like very criminal. His Defiler battle cannon is it's extremely bad compared to a Vindicator cannon as well. So yeah,
Yep.
we're not gonna include this guy because he's overpointed and the model is too physically large. Which makes me sad because actually have some of these models and I love them. It's the old school, came
Oh
out
yeah.
about 20 years ago, so it looks
Yeah,
really
they
nice.
were always been one of the coolest looking chaos models.
Yeah. Something we're definitely going to add here is a Forge Fiend, and it's going to be the Plasma loadout. So you guys have seen these before. Um, I'm pretty sure every recast guy has these. So it's the triple ectoplasm cannon Forge Fiend. Looking at the profile here, this guy turns up to 11 because he's going to get reroll hits. So he's going to be kind of camping. This guy's kind of like your sniper. Um, strength 10. It's going to be 3d3 attacks blast at 10-3-3 for 1 CP. You can just give it an extra AP. That one of the strats lets you do that. Hitting AP 4, and then it can have devastating wounds. It can have reroll hits, and it can have +1 to wound. So just insanely high damage on this. Um, I think I'll probably just add 2 of these because the damage is so cranked up. So
And you
2
park them next to your Warp Smiths to always have the rerolls.
exactly. So
Yep.
yeah. So let's say 2 Forge Fiends. Um, we are getting to the point here where we have to start adding stuff that's not a demon engine because we're a little light on options. We're not going to take a Hellbrood. I don't think the Hellbrood even is a demon engine. Yeah, he's not. So we're not even going to mess with the Hellbrood. He's really effing slow. He only moves 6 inches. Um, and then the other 2 that we didn't mention are the Venom Crawler and the Mauler Fiend. I definitely going to add 2 Venom Crawlers in here. Venom Crawler is actually your value buy. Think of him, he's like a really good dreadnought. He's got 12 heavy bolter shots. He moves 12 inches. All of his attack characteristics are 6-1-2, and then he's going to get up to 8 attacks in combat, and then his heavy bolter can wound a lot of infantry on 2s in this detachment as well.
Oh yeah.
So this is like your skirmisher. I think I'm just going to start with 2. I think 2 is probably the right number, but 3 would be good as well. Um, Mauler Fiend, I'm not crazy about. Um, I think that this guy ends up being a little bit redundant, and unfortunately he doesn't shoot, and he's only AP 2. So I think I'm probably just going to leave the Mauler Fiend at home. It's not necessarily that he's bad. It's just that there's an issue where he gets stuck. He gets parking lot because you already have so many vehicles, and then he never makes a charge, and then he just dies. Um, so if he had a gun, maybe I'd consider it, but I'm not gonna have any Mauler Fiends in here. Um, all right, so we're at 1500. So this is, let's see, we've got 6 vehicles, which I'm pretty happy with.
And they'll all be demon after the first turn when you turn the Vindicator into 1.
Exactly. So these are all going to be demon engines. Let's look at some other stuff that can fill out the list. Because we're so damage focused here and we have so few models, I want to add some Nurglings in here. So I think I'm going to do 2 units of Nurglings.
Yeah. That's where this is such an elite list where you can add some Nurglings, whereas the other list didn't really need them.
Correct. Yeah, this because we have so few models here, we really need cheap stuff that's going to try to score. So Nurglings are battle line, so I think we can just add 2 Nurglings straight away.
And allies, you can take up to 250 or 500 points at 2,000.
I think it's up to 500. I think.
500, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So we got our Nurglings. Um, it's a weird question if we want any more vehicles. I think we're good on vehicles. We want some stuff that's skirmishy. We don't want all our four. We have a little bit of a castle going on here with we've got our 2 warp
Right.
smiths, our Lord of Skulls and our Forge Fiends that are all castle up. So we want some stuff that can skirmish and create space, so we don't get swarmed and overrun quickly, where our shooting never gets to go off.
Yeah, you need some screens because you can only fit so many models within range of the Warpsmith anyway.
Yeah, so this is where it gets a little bit esoteric, I guess. But yeah, accursed cultists are good. I really don't mind accursed cultists at all. They die really quickly though, and they're not cheap. Um, I think a min accursed cultist would be okay. It has scout. Let me think about this for a second. We've got about 400 points. I definitely want warp talons in here, and I think I want to stage the 10-man warp talons. If we look at this real quick, I think I could probably add 20 warp talons. They're not getting any benefit from this detachment, but they're just so good.
So they'll put this over 30.
Yeah, this is 30 over now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we really want in here. Legionnaires are good. None of these we don't need any of these characters. They're not none of these benefit. The only one that benefits vehicles is
The Warpsmith.
Yeah,
Or
Vastor.
Vastor.
Vastor is good. The Warpsmith helps them too. But yeah, if we look at Vastor, he gives them +1 strength, but I think it's redundant because this ability isn't as good as getting +1 to wound.
Yeah, because this game kind of don't need it with +1 to wound.
Yeah, and this guy kills vehicles, but I don't think we have any issue killing vehicles. I think we're just going to leave Vastor at home. He's not, unfortunately, his auras just aren't as good as what we really need out of the
Yeah.
list.
If you wanted some demon engines and you weren't running this detachment, maybe you take him.
Yeah.
But with already having the +1 to wound, yeah, he seems a little
And
redundant.
part of the issue with Vastor is like he doesn't really shoot, and like he can get in and kill a vehicle but he only has 6 attacks. He's got the classic demon prince issue where he only makes 6 attacks, and like sometimes it just fizzles out. Whereas if he's the same points as a Forge Fiend, if you look at the damage ceiling for the Forge Fiend, it's some outrageous number. Like the Forge Fiend could pop off with like 15 supercharged plasma cannon shots or something that would just blow up an entire 400 point squad potentially. So yeah, it's not even a fair comparison. So here I'm gonna do a 10-man and a 5-man warp talon, so it's a little bit more flexible. And then we've got about 80 points left. That's
That's
with
a
two.
Legionnaire squad.
That's with 2 Nurglings. Yeah, and I think the Legionnaire squad is good. I actually want that. I want that scouting Dark Commune squad, or not Dark Commune. Where is it? We only have 80. Oh, the Accursed Cultist, just the base Accursed Cultist squad. This is good for doing objectives because it scouts 6 now, and then it has Blood Surge, so it just kind of shows up. It's generically pretty good, and it's kind of annoying to kill. It doesn't really have a save. It has no armor save, but
All right, and we got to find 5 points somewhere now. And did you
yeah,
already do your? My brain's not working. Enhancements on the Warpsmiths.
yeah, we already did those. Yeah,
All right. Yeah. So yeah, we just got to find 5 points.
this is ideal. Let me figure out. I don't know what the last 5 points is here. Let's cut these cultists, and then I'll cut a Nurgling. Then we got 120.
Yeah.
So 120, we get another 5 warp talons, or we can get another venom crawler. I think that venom crawler is kind of scary. Maybe we'll just add another venom crawler. So we've got 120.
Well, because he benefits in this detachment.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that 120 could be a lot of things, but I'll just add another venom crawler. He's pretty good. Good value. Good heavy bolters are generically good. There we go.
We got 10 points left. And did you added an enhancement to both characters?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
we could
Yeah.
for 10 points we could actually turn the Nurglings. So Nurglings have infiltrate. I think in this situation you would actually infiltrate them.
Yeah.
But otherwise they could just be another squad of cultists. But I'm happy with this at 1990.
Yeah. I think I'd rather have 10 points left than lose the infiltrating Nurglings.
Exactly, because the reason we want these like just one squad of Nurglings is we don't want to get move blocked by infiltrate. But we don't want to get the Lord of Skulls move blocked over and over again by an
Yeah.
infiltrating unit. So that'll somewhat protect against it. Honestly, the Lord of Skulls is so big he probably still gets move blocked if they really want to, but we just want to have a little bit of insurance against that. Yeah, so this is the list. This is very, very damage focused. We've got very little chaff here, less than 150 points of chaff and support.
Yeah.
It's all
So there may be instances where you have to use venom crawlers or something like that to do some secondaries.
Correct, and yeah, generally you're gonna have the venom crawlers like running wide on the flanks, just spraying heavy bolter
Yep.
shots everywhere. Your venom crawler is kind of like your leader. It's like your leader, your disruptor guy, and then you got your castle. You got your castle in the back, which is essentially four big models. Um, Ideally, the Lord of Skulls is your centerpiece, and you could definitely run into some trouble here by losing the Lord of Skulls. So you got to be careful about that. But I think that's yeah. This is the list. I'm pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, I like it. That seems like a really fun list to run.
And I have all these models ready to go. I actually just got my warpsmiths. I got to build two warpsmiths. I got to build my Lord of Skulls, and I got to build venom crawlers, which I have venom crawlers. I just haven't built them. But venom crawlers are extremely good, and they really really pop off in this detachment. Honestly, if I could run like squads of venom crawlers or six venom crawlers, I would in this detachment. I think it's extremely good with venom crawler. This guy's got an invuln save. He's T9. Um, and then in combat, if he kills units, he just gets +1 attack permanently, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will ever happen, but if it does, I mean, you're already you're gonna have 8 attacks because of your pact, and then um, 9, 10, who knows, a
Yeah.
million. So yeah, this is a fun one. I guess did you have any closing thoughts?
No, this one I think is a lot more straightforward than the other. You just have a couple small units to do stuff with, but basically just kill your opponent and then they can't hold the objectives.
Exactly. It's very, very Iron Storm. If you guys are familiar with Space Marines Iron Storm, same basic idea. You have holes, you're durable, and then you just
Yeah.
shoot them, and then they can't play the game anymore because they got shot.
Yeah, this is damage first, mission second.
Exactly. All right. So moving on to the last one,
Pactbound.
which is actually the most well-rounded detachment. So Slaves to Darkness is what it used to be called, and it is a copy paste. The only thing that they've changed is they dialed back the power a little bit. All the effects are still the same. All 5 out of 6 of the stratagems are still the same, and they've replaced Armor of Contempt, the 2 CP Armor of Contempt, with um, like a level character level up ability that has all these restrictions, which is just really really terrible. But the good thing is that Slaves of Darkness is very strong and the stratagems are really good, so it remains strong. And I'm sure this is going to win some, like, this pack bound is going to win some GTs. It's going to win stuff for sure. This is like going to be one of the main lists.
Yeah, this is your
um,
more balanced, just generic Chaos Marine list.
Yep. The reason why this is so good is because it's a combination of good stratagems that allow you to, like, it's like reactive defenses. You have a Nurgle, you can do a Nurgle Lone Op, you can do a Zinch Resurrection, you can do a Slanesh Advance and Charge, and then you have a 1 CP reroll all wounds for Undivided. And, it's not reroll hits anymore, but just being able to reroll wounds like as a strat is super good.
Yeah.
Um, Something this attachment is lacking that I might like build into a little bit is rerolling hits. So we might want to, for this attachment, I want to try to find some stuff that grants the unit ability to reroll hits. The classic provider of that is Abaddon, but there's a couple other ways to get it. Um, so big thing to think about for this attachment. The concept of it is, I'm sure you guys have played, or you're familiar, or you played against with or against Slaves of Darkness before. Honestly, nothing major has changed. It's going to be the same premise as that. The thing we're building into is the critical on fives effect. So generally, how this is going to be played is that if you have a combat unit is going to be marked for Slanesh. If it's a combat unit where it's like a hammer where you need to reroll wounds, it'll be undivided using the stratagem. And then if it's a shooting unit, generally it's always going to be Nurgle, because Nurgle gives you sustained on shooting. So the critical thing here is that Nurgle is sustained on shooting and Slanesh sustained in combat. So what sustained does versus lethal? Sustained increases the because it explodes attacks. It raises the ceiling on how much damage you can do. So like you're generating additional attacks is just a higher potential maximum damage. So in general, sustained is always a better pick than lethal. Lethal comes into play more so with dark packs if you're wounding on fives. So things, if you're attacking knights with, strength 5, strength 6, you're always going to go lethal against, those high toughness targets. Otherwise, in any other situation, it's going to be sustained.
Yeah, for some reason you know that your local meta is mostly knights and vehicles or something, then you might lean more into the corn and zinch. But yeah, I believe generally if you're just going to most regular tournaments, leaning into the sustained hits is probably the better option. But if you know your meta is different, tweak it slightly to Corn and Zinch. But
Yeah, and something else I'll mention here is if we look at these demon marks modify some of the stratagems. So the modifier for Corn is if you use Fight on Death, it's a 3 instead of a 4. I found in practice that never really matters, and unfortunately, Corn is the one that gives you like lethal on 5s. A lot of the units that you may assign as Corn like don't care about lethal because it's situational. So like sustained is not situational, but lethal is more situational, if that makes sense. Like having sustained one is a higher value than lethal, generally in most game
yep,
scenarios.
absolutely.
So and by that logic, it devalues the Corn and the Zinch marks, and it also means that not that they're bad, but it's not as good as the counterpart. And the Corn and the Zinch stratagem, respectively, are not as good as the Nurgle and the Slanesh stratagem as well. So not only is it lower damage, it's less effect from the stratagems.
And if you have anything that triggers off a critical wound, having lethal hits gives you less options to get that.
Correct. Yeah. All right. So that covers that. So going into the list, um, I think there's a lot of similarities here from the other stuff that we were building. I building for this, I'm going to think back to like what I was playing in October, like for Tampa Open, which was a very balanced list. Some of the points have changed now, though. Um, there's a couple of like kind of like counter synergies in here or things that have changed. This has been nerfed, so I don't have like necessarily a solved concept for this yet because it did get nerfed and it's changed substantially throughout the data slates. Every 3 months or so, it's been points changes. It got nerfed very hard in January. A lot of those January changes have carried over, and then in essence, nothing has been buffed. So it's a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around it after
Yeah.
the changes, but it's still
And
very strong.
and coming up Thursday, it could get nerfed or buffed again, depending on what happens with the data slate coming out for Ark's Omen or
Correct. Yeah.
Pariah Nexus.
Right. So something I know right away. I'm gonna want 2 Chaos Lords in here. This is gonna. I think this list ends up looking a lot like how I had made Renegade Raiders, except uh it's a little bit different. Here, let me see. So I'm just gonna throw in 2 Chaos Lords.
Yeah, so a lot of the concepts of what the units do will be the same, but without the assault and extra AP, I'm assuming there will be a couple fundamental changes to make this detachment rule work versus that detachment rule.
Right. Yeah, let me check. I had a little project for this. I was looking at like a Venom crawlers potentially can be really good in this detachment because they can crit. Venom crawlers like spray. They do 12 heavy bolter shots per guy, and then they can in this attachment they can crit on 5s.
So that's average 4 extra shots.
Yeah, and you can also there's a combo you can do where you can take sustained and lethal, because you take a Hellbrute. So you make like a castle. You make a castle, and then your 5s to hit. You use Abaddon to reroll all hits, and then 5s are lethal and sustained, and you're rerolling all hits. So you can just fish for 5s, and the heavy bolters just pop off. So I didn't really do the math on it, but I think if you have that castle, um, I actually, you know what? I, I'm interested in running this because it's been around for months, and let's build the Venom Caller Castle,
All
because
right.
I think this is a cutting edge sort of meta thing, and it'll be good for people to know because almost nobody is running this. This list did win a GT somewhere maybe 5 months ago, but it is still good. Like it has not been removed from the game, and it's definitely something that could catch people off guard and win events. I think. So we're gonna go 3 Venom Crawlers, not 4. And then these are all gonna be.
Nurgle.
I'm actually gonna make them Zinch. I'll explain why in a second. We're gonna go. This is a combo. This is a combo deck essentially. We're trying to like form up this castle and just blow them away with like a super high volume of heavy bolters.
All right.
um, I think do we take Jesus? Do we take Vastorn here too? So Vastor makes the gun strength 7, which is really funny.
Yeah, because there's a lot of toughness 6 in the game. Wolf jail, a lot of custode stuff. So going to that strength 7 is not a horrible thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I think he's too many points. Even at
Hold on.
190.
Are you taking a Defiler?
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's supposed to be a Hellbrute.
I was about to say, like, hold on now.
Yeah, we're not taking it. So the Hellbrute is going to be Hellbrute is like your support guy, right? So he's going to be Nurgle, and then he's going to have he has a fist with a flamer and a las cannon, or the multi melt. The melt is good too, but we're gonna. This is leaning a little bit more into shooting. Could
The
also
last
do.
cannon gives you a little better range than the Melta.
Yeah, we want the range because Venom crawlers I think are 36.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So what we're doing another shooting castle here, but this is the more traditional shooting castle. It's not the Soulforged Warpack. Um, yeah. So let's see. We are gonna have to roll a lot of packs. Abaddon's gonna give the reroll hits or reroll packs depending on what you need. They're both good in this case. I think we're gonna have. Let's see here. Gonna have 2x5 chosen, just like before.
What's the Lord's running with them again?
Undivided. So we're gonna do two undivideds.
I was say, but you're gonna have the Lords run with them again.
The Lord, yeah, the Lord's with the chosen. Yep. And then these guys can all hang out in a rhino, so we'll get a rhino. And I don't know. I actually don't know if the rule has changed. I think I read on Reddit that they reverted it. So I think the rhino you can mark as Nurgle now. This was briefly nerfed where you couldn't put undivided units in the Nurgle rhino, but I believe that rule has gone away. But either way, it doesn't break it either way if it needs to be undivided. All right, so this is a lot of points. Abaddon is like 300 points. I believe he's going to be solo in this list. He
Okay.
doesn't really keep up with the Venom crawlers, which is weird. I think he can join a unit of chosen. I think we could probably even. So the only bad thing here is that Abaddon unfortunately has lost his chaos marks. He is now just undivided, and that's it. So he cannot benefit. He used to have undivided plus all 4 demon words, and
Yep.
they've taken all of his demon words away. So he is just strictly an undivided guy now. Um, Having him in a Terminator squad is not bad because it gives him reroll hits, but he already has reroll hits, so it's just redundant. Um, what else? We want more shooting because we're making a shooting castle here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 Predator Destructors, I think. So this is looking a lot like this is kind of an analog to Renegade Raiders here, just a different playstyle. This is more of a whereas Renegade Raiders is more of a cagey counterpunchy detachment. This
Uh-huh.
is more of an in your face, just blow them away with damage.
Gotcha.
And then these are Nurgle. So we're gonna start. This is generally you're gonna mark all of your shooting units as Nurgle. There we go. So we'll get 2 of these guys. And then we're obviously going to get some Slanesh Warp Talons because Warp Talons, once again, they're that good. It really cannot be stated how good this unit is. Cannot be overstated. And then Slanesh. So this Warp Talons are extremely good. This is actually a combo right here. So this unit, like we keep talking about how it basically is so good in it combos. The combo is you have Abaddon. Maybe Abaddon gets up the table. These guys the reroll hits aura going. The Warp Talon unit shows up. It's got 1 CP advance in charge. If one guy is within 6 of Abaddon, the whole unit, all 40 attacks are going to reroll hits. You're Slanesh, so you sustained on 5s. So it's reroll hits, hitting on 3s, exploding 5s. Strength 5, AP 2, neg 1, and it's twin linked. So you're rerolling all hits on wounds with exploding 5s. It's something like it target agnostic. It's something like 20, 30 wounds easily. It could even be more than that.
Oh wow.
If you're attacking like T4, T5, it could be 30 wounds, no problem. Against I don't know the exact math, but I would say against T5, 30 wounds against if you're wounding on 5s with rerolls, it's at least 15 wounds. I would say it's around 15 to 20 wounds going through. So it's just huge damage. We can actually just take 2 of these, I think. And then we want Nurglings. I think this is the list. Yeah, we just have 40 points for Nurglings and that's it.
All right, yeah, and I don't see anything about the Rhino. So from what I can see, you should be able to add them in there. It just says Heretic Astartes. Doesn't say anything about marks on the data sheet or anything.
Yeah, it's in the MFM, but we're about it was in the January MFM, but I think all the rules from that MFM no longer apply because the codex came out. It's hard to say.
Yeah, unless they've the Codex is the most current rules, so it outrules any FAQ that came out for the index. So unless they've
Correct. Yeah.
dropped an FAQ for CSM Codex, then you just
Right.
go off the Codex.
Right. Exactly. So I think it's good. I think you can. Yeah, and honestly, that rule was stupid anyway. I really hope that it's gone
Well,
because it.
if they'd wanted to stick, you'd think they would have stuck it in the Codex before releasing it, since they had already FAQ'd it before.
Exactly, and the rule honestly was very stupid. It was added like in a January nerf when they nerfed all the points, and it's when they really nerfed the accursed cultists.
Yeah.
Luckily, accursed cultists are actually good again, but you're not going to see them. Unfortunately, some of the units that I like really want to play that I'm not putting in a lot of lists necessarily are accursed cultists and possessed. Um, Possessed. This is actually supposed to be. It's worth noting that like this is what's called Pactbound Zealots. This is
Yeah.
supposed to be word bearers. Like it's supposed to be the possessed detachment, and possessed are just like pretty terrible in this detachment. They're not great. You can make them Slanesh and everything, but they're all they are really is like just worse warp talons.
You can give
Um,
devastating wounds once per game.
yeah, that's about it. I mean, they're slower. They have less AP.
Yeah.
They don't have fly.
Yeah,
Um,
they almost want to be corn with the no, no. What
well,
was I thinking? No,
no, they
the
want it.
five. No, the five. I was thinking the fives. It's only on hits, so it actually doesn't help with devastating wounds. So actually,
It
sustained is still better.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all. Corn is good too. I like to run a squad. There is a combo here if you like corn, where you run the Master of Executions. He's very good. It's worth. This is worth noting because this is something you could just put in the list, and it's equally as good as what I have. So you basically run a corn Master of Executions, and then you would give him the enhancement, the talisman right here. So he's only
Yeah.
95 points, but this guy just hits like a truck. He's got precision and dev wounds. There's a little bit of a counter synergy here, but the talisman is going to give him essentially he dark packs and doesn't fail. It's plus D3 attacks and strength, so he can go up to strength 10. Um, and then
And you'd run him.
he's got this
So
reroll ability.
you'd run him with chosen and drop one of the lords, basically.
Yeah, and you could even run this guy like if you wanted to take a second rhino, that's totally fine. And
I
you
was
could
saying, so
run
you're
him.
only running. So you're going to run one of the chosen on foot in this list.
No. You got they both fit in because the rhino holds 12.
Oh, you're going to put both of them in the same rhino. Okay,
Both of them
that
in the
makes
same
sense.
rhino. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so they
Yeah, and then
can't split rhino, run two different sides of the board, but
for the second rhino, I would actually recommend the way that I would run it would be get a second. Yeah, let's change this a little bit. Actually, hang on. So we had the list exactly at 2,000. Just to go over it again, it's Pactbound Zealots. We got Solo Abaddon, two Chaos Lords, 2x5 Chosen. They are riding in a Rhino altogether. 2x10 Warp Talons again, same as Renegade Raiders. Two Predator Destructors, a Nurgle Hellbrute for the double Pact, and then triple Venom Crawler. What that's doing, as we already discussed, it's making a shooting castle with those 5 vehicles. Abaddon's in the center. Um,
and
and
did I miss it, or did you explain why you made them Zinch instead of Nurgle?
Oh, okay. So Zinch is lethal. It's lethal on fives. The reason they are Zinch is because um that it's so in a situation where they're not benefiting from the Hellbrute, it allows them to wound high targets that are higher than toughness 7. Like it helps them like wound things that are toughness 7 and higher. So it helps them like punch up in the shooting phase. So and I think the reason is or no, these aren't natively sustained. Um Yeah, it just helps them. It helps them shoot up into bigger targets a little bit more. That's all.
Because they have enough shots to begin with that they could be fine without the sustained.
Yeah, and another reason why is Nurgle. Correct. Yeah, they have a lot of shots already. It's fine, honestly, to run them as Nurgle. What Zinch will allow them to do, as the only Zinch things in this list, it'll give you access to the. It's 1 CP automatically heal 3 wounds, so you can use it to
Oh,
like you can use a heal. It gives you like the heal card, so because like your opponent would be like, I need to kill this Venom Crawler, and they start attacking it with all this shit, and then you roll all your saves because it has an invul. So it's tanky. Basically, the Venom Crawler is like tankier than you expect, and then potentially you'll have that strat in the bank and they heal 3 wounds.
because you don't have a
Um,
Warpsmith to heal them.
yeah, and you know what? I think actually, if I check that strat, it's probably not even Zinch specific. It's right here. I think maybe it's this one right here. Oh, if it Zinch, you can return destroyed models. So yeah, having them Zinch doesn't even matter. So it only gives you lethal. Maybe I don't know. I wanted a little bit of access to lethal on fives. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it would round out the list
So
nicely.
you can go Zinch or Nurgle. It's not a huge. I was wondering if there was some big combo with Zinch that, but
Not really. Actually, Nurgle would be fine if we want to just change it to Nurgle. It's not.
no,
It's
it's
not.
fine either way. I just want to
Yeah.
know if there was a combo. I wanted to explain it to people. It's just your choice with 12 shots a model, whether you still want sustained or think lethal plays them better. So it's really just a
Yeah.
preference choice at that point.
Yeah, and I just thought lethal would be good to diversify it a little bit, but yeah,
Yep.
that's the list. Something we would add. So this is a castle. This is a castle like sort of list. The only other thing we're almost done would be we had a second rhino, and then I'm trying to think how many extra points this would be, and then we'd have this MOE running with 10 legionnaires, and then these are corn legionnaires. And the whole idea behind these guys is they're gonna have all the the heavy weapons, and they're gonna go punch up into something. So they're gonna go like you'll send that it's basically a 250 point unit, and it's just gonna hit something like it's gonna hit a T12 model or whatever, and you're just gonna just smash it because you're gonna get reroll hits and wounds. That's the
Right.
combo. So if the target that you're attacking is below starting strength, you get reroll hits from the MOE, and then if they're on an objective, you reroll all wounds because they're legionnaires. So that's the combo.
Gotcha.
And it's just like I think legionnaires are like 40 attacks per, or they're like 4 attacks per guy roughly. So it's just a bucket. It's just a bucket of dice. It's what is it 9? Yeah, there we go. So that's like 330 points over.
Yeah.
Probably just maybe cut a Hellbrute. You don't need to have the Hellbrute. He's just a force multiplier.
And do you drop one of the chosen units at that point, or do you keep the two chosen?
I think you still keep them. Solo Abaddon. I was thinking about this solo Abaddon because he's like, I don't think he gets protected at all
No.
because he's a Terminator. He's just a solo Terminator.
Yeah, he's not lone off or anything like that.
Yeah, and you can't Nurgle. It used to be that you could Nurgle strat him and it was 12 inches, and he was Nurgle, and you can't do that anymore. So like
Yeah.
he like lost his like protection, which really sucks. Like that was the big thing. So now Abaddon has to like play a little bit of a safe game. He still hits hard, but he became kind of like a big expensive buff piece.
Yeah.
Um,
But on foot, someone could easily put a couple lancers or something into him and take him out early.
yeah, if you this list is changing a little bit. Like if you cut if we're going to the Legionnaire build, we're gonna go a little bit more like value oriented.
Yep.
So maybe we cut Abaddon and then get like a Vindicator. This value list is looking more like Renegade Raiders.
Yep.
So this list, Pactbound has a lot of variety. You could run a possessed list. I don't think it's great, but it is at least a list you can run. And the combo, there's a decent combo here too.
I was saying it's such a balanced attachment that there's really probably 100 builds you could do in it, and
Yeah, and
depending on your play style, do well with it.
I'll explain the possessed because honestly, possessed are really cool and they do hit hard, but they're just not as good as they used to be. But they are cheap now though. They're only 250 for 10 possessed, which is good. It's very similar to that kind of like Wolfen or Wolf Jail thing where it's like you have these like tough T6 bodies with an invuln and they're just clogging up the table. And possessed still do that well. They just have serious AP problems. But what you do now is I don't think you don't even take the what's he called, the Master of Possession, because he sucks now. They removed his good abilities. He only gives them +1 to advance and charge now, which just doesn't matter. So you don't take them, but you basically just run 10 possessed and you make them undivided. The reason is because you can just 1 CP, have them reroll wounds, and then they have the once per game they get dev wounds. So that's the combo.
Yep.
So you send this unit in. They're undivided, so you pack them for sustain. They reroll ones because they're pacted. Reroll ones to hit, I mean. And then when you go to wound, you just 1 CP reroll everything to wounds, and then you just fish. You're fishing for sixes. So I don't know exactly what the I don't know. I could crunch a little bit of math on that, but 40 attacks. Maybe you're hitting like maybe 33. Let's see. You hit like I don't know 32 times, and then like rerolling all wounds looking for sixes. So is that divided by 6?
You like 10, around 10-ish mortals.
It's like 10. It's like maybe 10, maybe 9 or 10 sixes at 2
Or
damage each.
devastating, yeah.
Yeah, so it may be 20 damage. It like guarantees like 20 damage, which is good. Because I
That's
mean,
brutal.
if you send this into like a land raider, like that land raider is just gone. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they have armor of contempt or whatever. So this is good. Um,
Can I pick up a knight or something? Because you still get your other wounds that they have to make saves against.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It could kill. I mean, 20 wounds can kill like anything, right?
Yeah.
If they're just really bad into, if you don't use that combo, they're really bad. I'm trying to think. -1 to hit is really bad. You don't have any way around. If the enemy's giving you -1 to hit, it's fucking terrible. What else? If they have -1 damage, they completely neuter you. And then if these guys get locked, they're only AP1, so if they get locked in any sort of like prolonged combat,
Oh
like
yeah.
AP1 is really bad. So yeah, I don't recommend this, but this undivided unit is good in this detachment. Like it's underrated or underplayed or something like that. Um,
But we still have to drop like 295 points.
yeah, I think we just cut these venom crawlers because we're not like comboing off anymore. The MOE and the Legionnaires. Let's see. Maybe the Legionnaires just cut down to a 5-man. I like this list too. This is a different version of Raiders. Yeah, that's 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And this is pretty cool. I think this would be fun to play because you
I
got
like
your
the other.
form.
I personally like the other one better with the venom crawlers and stuff. But
Yeah, this is like more of the this is like more like you'd see with Renegade Raiders.
well, say if you're doing this, you might as well just take Renegade Raiders at that point.
Well, yes and no. I mean, this has the crit on 5s, and it has the possessed like dev. It has a dev wound bomb, which Raiders doesn't have, because against certain targets, the dev wound bomb like does more damage. Yeah, and this is a lot of models actually. This is 50 infantry models, 4 hulls, squad of Nurglings, 55 actually because Legionnaires, and then three like hitty characters.
Yeah.
It's just well rounded. This is just a very like well rounded CSM list. Like no problems with this at all. This would be actually fun to play. Like I was kind of I'm kind of talking shit on Possessed, but I think this would be a blast to play.
Oh yeah, I love combat, so they seem like a really fun unit. Especially you
Yeah,
drop those dev wounds on something.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Did you have any questions about the Pactbound Zealots?
No, I think we went over pretty much everything. I mean, this is pretty much the attachment we've all been seeing for Chaos for a little while now, so it's kind of not a lot of secrets about it, I don't think.
Yeah, not really. I think that pretty much touches on everything.
Yep.
Um, there are a couple of things that I see like people adding in their list. Like there's some of the stuff we didn't talk about. I guess like land raiders are fine if you want to
Oh
play
yeah.
them. They're very very durable for the points. Actually, the chaos land raider has super good las cannons. It's only like 240 points. Um, so yeah, that's fine. Um, the reason I don't do land raiders because I like the value oriented pick of the rhino for only 75.
Yeah.
It's like just significantly cheaper.
Now can Abaddon and some Terminators ride in the Land Raider?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Abaddon's just a Terminator guy, so he just
That's what I
like
thought. Now he doesn't
yeah.
look like he'd fit in there, but he does.
Yeah, he does. He can hang out with, let's see, capacity is 12. So he can hang out with 5 Terminators, and that'll fill up the Land Raider.
Yeah, because he only counts as 2.
He counts as 2, yeah. I think that, honestly, the Chaos Terminator squad is pretty bad. Um, I have not found a way to make this thing good yet, and I have played it, and it's overpointed. I
Gotcha.
think it's
I
at
like
it,
my.
the
I guess I was just assuming because my Marine Terminators are pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that these Terminators are so bad is because they're 185, and like they just don't. All their weapons are basically the same as Chosen, and Chosen are 125, and they have the advance and charge. So not only like these guys can't get into combat, they don't have like good ranged output, and they don't have good combat output. So it's like, well, what do? They're just standing around and like waiting to die.
It's harder to kill, I guess.
They make Abaddon harder to kill, which is fine, but I feel like you can just do that by just positioning better, so he doesn't get
Yeah.
shot.
And they have Deep Strike, which is always nice.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, having them in D sharp is okay, but they still have that damage issue. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chaos Terminators. Like you can, if you take a lot of Chaos Terminators, I think you can find yourself in a game state where it's like this is an elite unit and it's not doing any damage, and then you just like
Yeah.
get stuck. You get stuck, and then it just doesn't affect the game. It doesn't impact or
Yeah.
affect the game enough.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, when I think Terminators, I think of my Hammer Shield Terminators I run when I run them. That's a whole different. Dev wounds and
Oh
a
yeah,
4
those are
pinfall.
way better. I would play
Yeah.
those in a second in chaos because all those are is a better version of possessed.
Yep.
Assault Terminators are fantastic. I really like Assault Terminators. Um,
Wolfguard Terminators. Come on now.
oh yeah, those are good too. Um, I think that's pretty much it. The accursed cultists they have they're good, so they're a good inclusion. It ends up being expensive though, because if you look at the accursed cultist squad, it's 170 for the big squad, and then you at that point you basically have to add the dark commune in there, which is another 65 points. So it ends up being like, what is that? It's 21 models in the unit, but it has all these keywords. It's 65 plus 170. It's 235. Um, Not bad, but it has the damned keyword, which means it doesn't benefit from a lot of abilities. There's
Oh yeah,
so
yeah. The damned really restricts what you can do with some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
and they nerfed the interaction here too, because damn, like the Abaddon auras never affect damned anymore either. So there's no more. You can't give them a 4-up invuln. You can't give them reroll hits, which are like some of the combos that people were doing with the
Oh, yeah.
cultists. So yeah, the cultists are really kind of like on their own now.
That's good because
Uh,
that cultist attachment, if you could give everybody 4 pinfalls, would have been freaking crazy.
yeah, and I was actually looking at the cultist attachment. I have a list like in that I haven't figured out yet for the cultist attachment, and it is 3 accursed cultists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could actually show what that looks like.
Or we could come back another time and do another 3 detachments or something if you want.
If you have a minute, I'll put the cultist list in here right now,
All right.
because the reason this is cool is because there was a guy who was just playing at Atlantic City. They just finished playing that today, and Necron's won, but I think he won his first 6 games with the cultist attachment.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and it's worth mentioning this because like I think we said that this was like the worst one. It's actually, I'm not going to say it's great, but it's not as bad as we said. Um,
I
so
just
we're
said
gonna.
what Nick. I just said what Nick told me.
Oh yeah. It's pretty bad, but it makes it's not really the cultist attachment. It's the accursed cultist attachment because it makes accursed cultist really good. Um, so the list we're looking at here, it's a lot of this is a horde army, right? So it's a lot of like swarmy. You have like Fabius Bile. You have, who's that other guy? You have the Dark Apostle, and then the Dark Apostle gets the amulet, which like brings back guys. It is sort of like a resurrection. So he's gonna hang out with like cultists. We're gonna get some cultists going in here, and then we need 3 dark communes, because what dark commune does is it attached to the accursed cultist unit. It gives it a 5-up invuln save, which is way better than a 7-up, and then it also gives them once per game they advance in charge, and all of their attacks are +1 to hit and +1 to wound.
Hmm.
It's some insane thing. Yeah, all of their attacks are +1 to hit and wound. Yeah, so that's insanely good. Considering that this attachment has, I think, 1 CP reroll everything. So it's something like that. It has 1 CP advance in charge and 1 CP reroll all hits and wounds. I'm pretty sure. So this attachment has some pretty good stuff.
Nice.
And then we do 3 max accursed cultists, which is actually very expensive. I don't own these models at all. This is like 6 boxes of accursed cultists and 3 boxes of dark commune. So
Nice.
it's nine boxes of just garbage.
Oh yeah. So the strat chosen for glory gives you reroll hits, and if you don't fail your desperate pact, you also get reroll wounds.
Exactly. So yeah, that's super duper good.
The only
Um,
downside of this is it's making you take desperate packs on top of dark packs, so you're going to be losing a lot of guys to mortals, most likely.
but that's another thing though too, is the dark commune. It also lets you reroll the packs.
Oh,
So
see, that's
the
helpful.
yeah, so the dark commune just does everything you want. It's like insanely good. So this detachment is like, it's all about this interaction here. We are taking Fabius Bile and a Dark Apostle as well. We're gonna put some enhancements on here. This is just a little bit of extra stuff, just because we like cultists. It doesn't, whatever this does is not super impactful, but we're just we've got the extra points. So
Yeah, you can give them +1 attack, +1
yeah,
strength. Yeah, there's a bunch of good strats for them going into combat here.
exactly, yeah. So this is very, very combat focused. We're gonna have Fabius Bile hanging out with 20 cultists, which are 20 cultists is only 100 points, which is really, really nice. And they get a little bolt pistol. So we're gonna do two by 20 for the characters, and then I believe we're gonna have we're just gonna have junk 4 by 10, because Purge of the Foe doesn't matter after all. I mean, it's like you'll never
No.
see that mission.
We'll see if it's even in the new pack. Is it?
It is, yeah. They didn't.
It's all right.
It's actually exactly the same.
Gotcha.
But whatever. This list is still good. All
Because
right.
you're
So
going to
this is
beat them on the other half of primary, and you'll probably beat them on secondary
yeah.
with all these bodies.
Yeah. We're flooding the table here. So an unfortunate thing about this attachment is it only works on damned models, and there's almost no damned models in the game. Um, there's very, very few options. So as you can see, we're at 1,300 points, and we're already maxed out on like our cultists. The only thing we could start taking, I mean, we could take more cultist mob, but we just don't need to.
Hmm.
Like 20, I don't know. It's because these guys don't really do damage. They're making space. They're creating space, and they're moving quickly, and they're killing themselves. But then by the time they like end up wherever they are, they're not doing damage. They're up points. They're just doing points. Like these are cultist mob doesn't really do damage.
So you're stuck taking about 700 points of stuff that doesn't benefit from the detachment.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
So it just has to
Um,
be good in its own right.
and I'm trying to think, the only benefit that this stuff, the 700 points that you're taking here, the only benefit that it gains is that there's a stratagem where you can like protect it with cultists. So it's worded in a really weird way, but basically if they can see the cultist unit and the heretic Astartes model, then you can kill your cultists like as long as they're still alive to like take wounds off of it or something.
It's
Um,
very similar to the old Grot Shield, or what kind of like what Tau drones used to do, stuff like
yeah,
that.
and it's shooting phase only, and I just feel like I feel like you don't care about the shooting phase. Well, in this at 1,300 points, you don't care about the shooting phase. We have a lot of directions we can go here, and I haven't figured it out yet. Um,
So,
demons
so do
having
you need a
demon
little? Do you need a little bit of shooting here? Or
so the some of my thought process here, this is a good like list building. This is like, on the factory floor right now. So we definitely want shooting. We want something in deep strike as well, and then we also want stuff that's fast. Because like this isn't the fastest list, and we
no?
don't want to get tar pitted and just have them kill all of our cultists. So we need shooting, we need potentially deep strike, and we need something that actually does damage. So we're looking for like big, good big stuff. I'm just like looking at the list here. Um, we could take 3 war dogs, but I don't think that's what we really want. Man, actually 3 war dogs would be pretty effing good.
Yeah. Or what about a one big knight?
I don't like the big knights very much.
You don't like the big knights, all right?
Scarbrand, you could take Scarbrand, which is kind of cool. I'm trying to think if he combos. Oh, he can create a trap. Yeah, Scarbrand has this is like a cool combo. So Scarbrand's only 300 points. He's like the same as Abaddon, but he's like flat damage 6,
Yeah.
and he hits like he just hits like a truck. So he's got this ability here. It's like well within 6. Anytime they're selected to fall back, they must take a leadership test, and then it traps them. So
If they
Scarbrand
fail,
so Scarbrand can just like regular deep strike or rapid ingress and like come in and make a trap. I It's really cool, but I would like to play this, but he gets taxed because you have to take bloodletters, and bloodletters are pretty poop.
poop.
Bloodletters are 120, so that Scarbrand package ends up costing you like 425. So that would leave us with like 200 something left. Uh, I don't know. I'm a little bit out on it. Scarbrand is
Yeah.
good though.
Yeah. I don't think he fits in here.
Yeah, there's this Slanesh package you can take is really good too. I was just looking at this yesterday. So you can take the Slanesh package you take Seekers, which are extremely good. They're 80 points. Those are like the cavalry.
Yep.
So you take 5 Seekers. You would easily. So if you could, you would always take probably like 1 or 2 units of Seekers in here if you just could. But unfortunately, it's locked because you have to take Demonettes, and Demonettes are just not as good as Seekers. Um, but what this Slanesh package would look like, you take 10 Demonettes. You probably attach Selesky, or no, she's too many points. So you would just take this. You would just take 10 Demonettes and Seekers, and that's only 190. That's pretty good. I don't mind that at all.
It lives to 500 exactly.
Yeah, and then we can actually add a unit of like Nurglings in there for support. I like that too. So do
Yeah.
like a unit, like 1 unit of Nurglings. And it's like you could actually add what the guy at ACO was doing. He had like 3 units of Nurglings in here. So he's just making a lot of tar pits. But I don't know. I don't think of this as much as like a tar pit as it is like an attack. You still want to be kind of an attack army.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so now I'm thinking like about shooting now because we actually want to deal some damage.
We have 260. You can fit 2 predators in there.
Yeah, actually, I have a 460.
Oh, 460.
Yeah,
I could do
so
math.
I like Predator Destructors. I think Predator
Yeah.
Destructor is what we want because it's just generally the best. And
Yeah.
I don't think we need Warp Talons because we already have too much shit that's going to be in combat.
Yeah.
Because it's like if we start taking like you might think like, oh, I want Corn Berserkers, I want Legionnaires, I want Chosen. Well, there's not enough space. Like they can't, like, you have so much shit on the table. Like this is already, I mean, how many
Yeah, with
models
these
is it?
characters and these mobs with the strats, if you're
Yeah.
going to run this, you have to rely on them to do most of your combat.
Right, because you already have like 145 cultist models that just like straight up want to be in combat and nowhere else generally.
Yeah.
So like you just don't. There's no space for these other units that you would normally take. So I think you just take Predator Destructors. That's what I. Yeah, this seems good. You just
Yeah.
take like probably 2 or 3 of these. Let me see how the points work here.
Yeah, with 390, that would leave us 70 points if you took 3 of them.
Yeah, 70. Yeah, and we can modify this demon package a little bit, or we could just, I don't like demonettes. I think demonettes kind of suck. We could just take let's say 2 Nurglings maybe. Let me see. Where's those Nurglings? Nurgling. All right, how many points do we have now?
220.
220.
That's 2 Venom
Oh,
Crawlers.
Is Rodigus 220? I think he is. Oh, he's 230. No. Oh, I think I want Rodigus in here because Rodigus is like just a pimp with a limp.
Is he now?
Yeah. All right. All right. So we're gonna cut 10 points. This is the list. This is actually good. We'll get rid of this thing. Or is it Scout? Oh no, we need that. We need Scout. We'll drop the Incendiary Goad, I think. Oh wait, no, this is really good too. Yeah, it's +1 strength squad wide. That's really effing good. Hmm. How do we get 10 points? Not possible.
Do we need Fabius?
What is Cultist brand? Yeah, we need Fabius. Reroll, advance, and charge roll. That doesn't matter. Damn it. Oh, we just I think maybe we cut a Nurgling, and then we have 30 points. The points get a little weird.
Well, what if you cut a cultist?
Yeah, we can cut a Cultist. Yeah, and then get a 3rd Nurgling.
As I was saying, you can add a 3rd Nurgling.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, because you still have 5 cultist mobs.
This is a good list. This is actually fucking solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a pain. That would be a pain to deal with.
You've got an absolute wall of cultists. You've got like legitimate shooting threat because these things will just kill infantry. They'll kill Terminators and so on. They don't really need any support. They're just good. And then Nurglings are going to kind of tar pit up the board. And then you just got a super cheap like value City Rodigus. This guy doesn't really do much damage, but his abilities are he's T12, 22 wounds. He's got a 4-up invuln, which is really cool. It's this ability here. So this thing, Deluge. This is why you take him. Deluge of Nurgle. While an enemy unit is within 6 of this model, half the movement and objective control characteristics of all models in that unit. So it's anything. It doesn't say like it's not infantry only. It's like any model.
So it doesn't really hurt OC1 because I'm assuming you round up. But anything that has multiple OCs, you're really nerfing.
Correct, and you've got so many models. So part of the advantage here is all these models are OC1, but they're also on 25 mil bases. So you can flood an objective with all
Yeah.
the shit, just like a wave of mob of cultists, and then it doesn't matter like how good their OC is. Like they're gonna get halved, and it's like they can't physically put enough models on the objectives to like get
Yeah.
the objective back from you.
And
It
he's
also
so tough and on such a big base. He's just like your cultists are doing. He can jam stuff up and move, block, and just hold stuff.
Yeah, he's Rodigus in this style list is extremely good, and he combos with the Nurglings. He creates like an insanely good tar pit.
Yeah.
Um,
The Predator's gonna
and
be sitting back there shooting all day because they're not gonna be able to dig through all this to ever get to him.
yeah, and this list is all about the tar pit, right? Like
Yep.
you got the invuln, the feel no pain on these AC units. You've got the Dark Apostle is going to give the squad +1 to wound, and he brings back models every turn.
Yeah.
It's
It's
only D
cultist jail.
only D3. Yeah, it's not as fast, unfortunately, but I mean it is cultist
No,
jail.
but it locks you in. It doesn't get there as fast, but it just has so many more bodies.
Yeah, and I own I own most of these models. This is something I would like to try, but I
Well, the
have
thing is,
time
people are
lapse.
building to counter the wolf jail that's doing so well right now. They're bringing stuff that does high damage, more elite shooting. So when they run into this, it completely counters what they bring to. So it's like you're countering the counter meta almost.
Exactly, and the way you run this as well is like Rodigus. Rodigus is for sure in deep strike. He does not start he and what you do is like you set up your like wall of cultists and you have your
Yeah.
accursed cultist scout and so on, and then he shows up with rapid ingress, and then he just shows up and he's in the middle of the party and he just creates a huge you know uh,
Yep.
huge tar pit. So yeah,
Yep.
Rodigus definitely shows up with rapid ingress.
That's cool.
And
I
all right,
wouldn't have to.
that's
I wouldn't have to build and paint this list, but looks like it might be fun to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how this one. I would like to see someone run this. This is similar to the ACO list. I think this is just a better version. The ACO list he had Slanesh, so he had some Slanesh stuff in there. And then also had he had 4 units of the Trader Guardsmen, which I thought was pretty interesting. Um, Trader Guardsmen are damned, which is interesting, but they're not a combat unit. They're a shooting unit. They don't have any combat weapon.
Mm.
They have 1 attack each. And then their ability is not good. It's just like when they get shot, they have like +1, or they just have cover automatically when they get shot. Um, I don't know. I don't think that Trader Guardsmen are good at all. They don't sticky objectives. Not like you need more of it, but I just feel like they're not adding anything. They are OC2 though, but they still
Oh,
die. They die just like cultists. They're just cultists with a
uh,
+1 armor save, I think, or sorry, a +2 armor save. I don't
but
know. I feel like
OC2 when you're having people's OC is pretty nice.
yeah, it's not the worst thing. It's just that I already have so many cultists. I like having cultists with,
Oh,
close combat weapons.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's like it seems like it hits a level where it's like,
Unless you want to
well,
bring 300 models, you don't need to bring all the cultists, all the accursed cultists, and the Trader Guardsmen.
right. And I think it hits a level. I think like this horde list hits a level where it's like if you take too much junk, you just deal 0 damage, and then you can lose because of that.
Yep.
And that is actually exactly why this guy that I believe that guy's name is Derek Apshe, something like that. He was playing on War Games Live. He specifically lost to Blood Angels because he set up all of his cultists. He had like 200 plus models, and he got charged by Blood Angels like one turn, and then he got charged again, and it was over.
Yeah,
Because
because Blood Angels most time will have the attacks to deal through that.
exactly, and cultists just flat out don't do enough damage to actually kill like real Space Marines.
Yep.
So accursed cultists do, but like regular cultists and like fucking trader guardsmen do like close to 0 damage,
Mm.
similar to the regular cultist unit. Um, as far as like what's dealing damage here, the AC units, accursed cultist units with all the buffs and everything deal big damage. So this will kill stuff. You can send them into a knight. You could send them into whatever big target that you have. Mega knobs doesn't matter. Um, the other units that can do like a little damage are the cultists with the Fabius Bile. They're going to get +1 strength and toughness, which is really good, making them, I believe, strength 4 and toughness 4 on cultists, which is kind of an LOL.
Yeah.
And and then the other one with the Dark Apostle has +1 to wound, which is similar, to making them strength 4
Yep.
typically. So that's going to be a good. So you'll have a lot of attacks. I think these are 2 attacks each. Yeah, they're 2 attacks per guy, so up to 40 attacks.
You pop that one strat, they'll go to 3 attacks a guy.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have Dark Pact, and then I think the Incendiary Goad can give them extra attacks as well. So there's a lot of combos here. Getting up to 4 attacks per guy in Cultist is silly. And then the cultist mob, or the cultist chaos cult detachment rule is like you can get +2 movement, and you could also get +2 advance and charge if need be. So it
Yep.
really helps you get in position. Having cultists move fast is super good. It's not under might be underrated, but it's movement is always good.
All right, cool.
That's it.
All right, so that's it. Unless you got anything else to add, I think that's a good spot to wrap this up.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you guys for watching. We're going to be having a lot more content coming out. We'll do something the day the new data slate and points and stuff drops, and then after we get our hands on the cards and stuff next week, we'll do some stuff about the new Pariah Nexus missions and deployments and all that stuff.
Heck yeah, it's gonna be a great week. Thursday, get ready for Thursday. All
Yep.
the MFM and everything comes out. It's gonna be awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys, and we will catch you next time.
Have a good one, guys.